excuse me, what is the worst outcome of you doing the best with what you have at the moment? What is the worst outcome of you doing the best that you can with this moment, with what you have at this moment? Such an important part of our discussion because whatever you're doing, you're going to have limited resources, period. You can have all the time in the world, but maybe your money's low. You can have a whole bunch of money, but maybe you don't have the physical energy to do it. I talk about this in Build From Now about the four or so different aspects. If you go to buildfromnowquiz.com, you can actually take a quiz to learn more about your aspects. All the links are below. I talk about this in my book that came out in 2021, which is actually included in this series as well. It's the green book that you see on the side. So you're going to be lacking something. I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that in a scarcity way. I mean that in just we're here on Earth, and so there's going to be limited things of whatever, right? And Built From Now, I give the example of you being a retired person who might have all the time in the world, right? But you might not have the financial resources depending on your situation. You might not have the energy because you're retired, so you're in a different place, et cetera, et cetera. Compare that to someone who is college age. And so they could have all the energy in the world to do all nighters, da, 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 if they're healthy otherwise. But they might be broke as a joke. And they might not have the attention span and the focus that, say, a retiree would have. A really simple example of that, that's one way that we can work on understanding where we are in the world right now, as far as our world, what season we're in, and what we're capable of doing. And if we understand what we're capable of doing at this point, then our standard isn't based on some abstract, with everything otherwise perfect, da da da. It doesn't operate in a vacuum. There's never a vacuum. There's I've done 27 books, four TED Talks, two startups, and a partridge in a pear tree. In all those situations, it was never perfect, ever, ever. There was always elements that were missing. There was always timelines that didn't line up. There's always stuff that I look back and I'm like, oh wow, I would have did that, and then we're gonna have triple the value. Like I shouldn't have signed that contract. What was I thinking? Well, I was doing the best that I can with what I got. If we're able to have an honest look at the resources we have, whether we're looking at our past failures, which we talked about earlier in the episode, or we're looking to the situation we're in now, what resources do you actually have? As I always say, I'm proudest of those moments where I showed up, did my best, regardless of the outcome, did my best, and understood I had one hand tied behind my back. Because often we have a finger, a hand, an arm, arm and a leg. We're not working at full capacity because that's not how life works. There are not, I've never found in all my adventures these perfect moments where everything lines up perfectly. I and the people I co-founded with, or whatever, have everything we need, and it goes smooth. Like I, I've never experienced that. Jump in the comments if you've experienced that. Like I would love to hear it, but I've never experienced that. And so once you kind of set up those realistic things as far as what your resources are, then you can set realistic expectations. Again, what is the worst outcome of you doing the best with what you have at this moment? Are people going to laugh at you? Are you going to be, have to have the letter A on your chest and people are going to be throwing tomatoes at you through the neighborhood? Are you going to lose all your funding? Are people not going to love you anymore? Is your ego going to get bruised? In coaching, they talk about asking the whys. I've heard it with three whys. I've heard it with five whys. But let's just say three whys. I'm not going to do this because it's not ready. Well, why isn't it ready? Well, it's not ready because there's all these features that I promised that are not in it yet. So then why is that issue? What's the worst outcome with that? Well, people are going to be expecting all these different features that I promised. Okay, well, why or what will happen if you say those are going to launch later and that this is your minimal viable product or this is your prototype or this is version zero point 0.9 instead of 0.1.0 to get nerdy for a second. And they will roll out eventually. Then suddenly you start to get to the meat of it. And it's like, oh, you feel bad that these features aren't in your particular app or product or service. You have those expectations and you're afraid people are going to call you on it. But what if they do? Does that mean you withhold what you have from people into this idealistic moment where you have the panacea and Shangri-La moment, whatever term you want to use, and then suddenly you're going to bestow it to the heavens? When I was launching my second app, Cuddler, I launched it with two other co-founders. Shout out to them. One was the artist, and one was the lead of the whole project. So I was more a COO slash CMO because I was doing the marketing as well as the day-to-day operations. We launched really quickly. It was the exact same time that um, my eldest, who's now 11, at that time he was 9 months old, 10 months old. Yes, he's almost one around time. I started with this app. We launched it shortly after his first birthday. The app ended up getting acquired right after his second birthday. So within a year, it was a whirlwind. Whirlwind. I talk about that again in the complete Bring Your Worth collection and have that conversation about it. Get an audiobook, links are below. And I wasn't sure if we were ready or if it made sense. The app that we had created, it felt like it was the time to launch it. And I'm pretty good with timing. I was like, it feels like it's the time to launch this app. It was called Cuddler, Connected People for Hugs. And a friend of mine at the time, you know who you are if you're watching. I appreciate you to this day. Up in Silicon Valley said, if you wait until you have everything you need and you wait until it's perfect, then that means it's too late. Straight from Silicon Valley. I was living in Silicon Valley right before I launched the app. She was right. All the apps, all the services, all the products that have revolutionized how we operate today, whether it's Facebook, now known as Meta, Google, now known as Alphabet, Amazon, Twitter, now known as X, but I mean really the old school Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. I know some of the inside stories with them. They were all simple and scrappy, and they worked with what they had. But that scrappy version that they launched to the audience was enough to build them up to the next level. But if they're waiting to be perfect, do yourself a favor. Do an online search on what the first version of Facebook looked like. Check out this channel. Go to bringworth.tv if you're not on there already. Go to the playlist where it's like the full Bring Your Worth episodes. In fact, the link is right below. What am I thinking? Link is right below. Click on that link. Go through the 399 episodes before this one. This is episode 400. Go to episode 1. Compare that to someone doing a video from a cave in a very dark place. You won't see that much of a difference. But it has to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. When we did Cuddler, the version we launched was missing 3 or 4 key things that we wanted to have in it. Within a week, it was the #1 app in the world. We're in the cover of the Wall Street Journal. If you don't believe me, you can just do an online search. Look for CUDDLR. I cannot make this stuff up. That was version zero point 0.4, zero point 0.6. It was definitely not 1.0, but that was enough to catch the world on fire. If we waited, again, shout out to my friend in Silicon Valley, if we waited until it was perfect, I would not be talking to you right now because it would never launched. And if it did launch, it would have missed that window. You have a limited window of opportunity for whatever you're trying to create. It's okay to have that kind of urgency. That urgency might get you out the door and out of your perfectionism. Something to think about. What is the worst outcome of you doing the best with what you have at the moment. Go through the worst case scenario. Your family stops talking to you. You're the laughing stock of Silicon Valley or of the community or whatever vibe, whatever people you're trying to serve, you're laughing stock for a week. We're in a quick news cycle. It's not like how it was even 10 years ago. Whatever you screw up, whatever you fail at, quote unquote, it's not going to be headlines for long. Trust me. Go through your worst case scenario. And as you keep going through those layers, maybe you can find out why you're really not moving forward. My favorite book on this topic, another doctor. I'm realizing I have almost all doctors here. Dr. Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap, one of my favorite books of all time. There's so many gems in this book, but basically talks about why we stop ourselves from growing, not the world stopping us from growing. You hear all this lip service. Some of it's lip service, some of it's real, but some of it's lip service about how other people are holding us back. Mm. At what point do we take accountability? At what point do we uplevel our game? Yes, there are factors and entities, and I won't turn this into another type of show. There are things that are blocking us, that are preventing us from being as great as we want to be. Absolutely. So does that mean we just sit down? What I love about the Big Leap is that it's all about the internal struggle. He doesn't talk about society. He doesn't talk about structures. He doesn't talk about who's in government. He doesn't talk about what. Nope. It's like, what are you doing about it? Sometimes we need to hear that. Yes, I have my share of political activism and I have my share of making movements and I've donated how I've donated and all those things. Don't sleep on that. I'm not trying to say that the world is perfect. What I'm trying to say though is that at the end of the day, it's about our accountability. My responsibility is to show up for you on Wednesdays. Doesn't matter who's in office, doesn't matter how much money I have or don't have, doesn't matter what client came through or what didn't come through, doesn't matter what book is out. I made a commitment to you. As Seth Godin said recently, talking about his book, his recent book about strategy. This is strategy. He recently said, a brand isn't a logo, it's a promise. A brand isn't a logo, it's a promise. The Bring Your Worth brand is a promise saying, okay, I've showed up for y'all 400 times in 4 years. That's part of my promise. Me just looking in the camera, talking to y'all, connecting with y'all. That's the vibes here. Dr. Hendricks gets into this in so many different ways. In the future, I could do a whole episode about Dr. Hendricks. Fantastic. Particularly this book is fantastic. It matters to this episode about perfectionism because he talks about something that changed my perspective. It's called an upper limit problem. It's when you have the opportunity to level up, you have a promotion that you can go for, you have an idea that's going to serve this particular community, you just need to launch this product or service. Someone's asking you to speak somewhere, and suddenly you have a chance to be on stage and connect with people, even though you're not a professional speaker. And then suddenly you get laryngitis, or suddenly you randomly trip on something and you break your leg and you can't show up for it. Or you say, you know what? I know you're offering me this position, but I'm not ready for it. All these instances, aside from perhaps some bad luck, we all have bad luck sometimes, these will be considered upper limit problems, where they compare it to like a thermostat, where we have an internal thermostat. See, used to the old school thermostat. You can tell. You can tell what era I grew up in. Not the buttons, not the Nest. No, you turn that son of a gun. It's like having a thermostat, and it's saying it's going to be 68 in this house. The weather could be up, the weather could be down. We're going to make sure it's level. Your 68 degrees might be, I always have to live paycheck to paycheck. That's how my family was. That's how my friends are. That's how I am. There's not enough money in the world. What does that mean? When you get a nice, say, six-figure job, Before you know it, you're blowing through that money because your thermostat is saying, no, we're supposed to be at 68, son. Come on, fam. We're supposed to be at 68. I don't care how much money you make. This is a comfort zone. Your thermometer or thermostat, not thermometer, thermostat is set to here. It's supposed to be 68 degrees. So you could be a millionaire. You're still gonna be living paycheck to paycheck. Let's make sure that that happens because this is your comfort zone. That's the upper limit problem. As soon as he said that, which of course I put some South Jersey spice on it, but that's what he said. As soon as he said that, it blew my mind. I have the audiobook, I listen to it regularly. And woo, as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm seeing all the upper limit problems that I have. Until you see that though, and you don't understand your assumptions underneath, you don't know. You don't know. So it's bringing those subconscious things to the surface. That's just one chapter in this amazing book. I just scratched the surface. Please grab the book if you haven't already. And it is definitely a vibe, you know? Thank you. I'm glad it resonated with you, you know? Whew. Speaking of, stop self-sabotaging. Talk about a nice segue. Live Q&A. It was like the beginning of the summer. I think it was May of this year here in Vegas. Yeah. How much stuff are you doing that's actually preventing you from being your greatest self? Your higher stuff is there. Your higher self is there. You want it to win, right? You want to be your best self. Listen, there's like 5 more weeks as of this recording, as you're watching me, as we're talking. There's 5 more weeks in the year. What do you want the next year to look like? I got some stuff written down on the wall over here that you can't see, but it's right over here. Making strategies and plans. Mm, I'm planning on having a good year, at least within the capacity of how I can make it a good year. It'll be the best year possible based on how I'm showing up. If you're ready to have that conversation, definitely check out that live show. So, what is the worst outcome of you doing the best with what you have at the moment? Throw it in the comments. Are you afraid that people are going to laugh at you? Are you afraid that you're going to lose this opportunity? You're going to screw it up? Are you afraid you're not ready? And then you ask yourself why 2 to 3 more times. See where it leads you. Drop something in the comments if you want to explore it with us. I'm entrepreneur coach Damon Brown. I'm here as a side hustler, solopreneur, otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. That is me. I'm here to help you in that way. As a business coach, I've coached probably 500 or 600 of y'all. Come through if you want to coach with me. Just go to damonbrown.net or drop me a line over here. Bring Your Worth TV, Wednesdays at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You can subscribe for free. You can also check me out over on Spotify. You can start to see new episodes over there. Go ahead and subscribe over there if you're rocking with Spotify. And of course, my newest book, The Complete Bring Your Worth Collection, available everywhere fine books are sold, including at damonbrown.net. If you want it signed, you can also listen to the audiobook for free right here. And you also check out the audiobooks on Spotify, which again are where some of the newest episodes are. Thanks so much for coming through. I'd love to hear your stuff in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling, what you got from this episode, what you want me to explore next, and how you're going to tackle your perfectionism. Until next time, remember you can always bring your worth. You can always build from now. Take care of yourselves and others.